absorbing the oxygen into the blood because the oxygen goes into the capillaries, the pulmonary capillaries, right? Here you've got capillaries in the intestines that are picking up carbohydrates and amino acids and stuff like that. Okay, so that's your food. But there's also poisons, right? Could be an alcohol molecule in there. There could be a pesticide molecule. So the last thing you want to do is get it into your bloodstream and then send it right to the heart so those poisons can be pumped to every cell of your body. You wouldn't want that, would you? No. So again, the Committee Celestial Design said, okay, so let's think this through. Maybe we should create an organ called the liver that detoxifies stuff like that. And maybe we should send all of the blood first to the liver before it goes to the heart, so that the liver can detoxify the molecules and treat whatever's being taken in through the food first, and then send it to the heart, and then the heart can send it to the rest of the body. Got that? Do you understand the logic there? All right, so enter the term portal, okay? The word portal, right, hepatic portal vein, or what's called a hepatic portal system. There are a couple other portal systems in the body. There's what's called the pituitary portal system or hypophyseal portal system. There's also what's called the renal portal system, and renal stands for what? Kidneys. When you say portal system, what you're saying is, oh, you have a second set of capillaries before you end up going back to the blood, back to the heart. Okay? All right, so what happens then is the first set of, in this portal system here, the first set of capillaries are in your digestive organs, in the intestines and so forth. And you have these blood vessels called superior and inferior mesenteric veins, which are basically draining the digestive organs, all right, especially the intestines. Okay, and so when you do that, those superior and inferior mesenteric veins are picking up all the absorbed food from your food, which would include the poisons. So you want to send it to the liver first. So what you do is you combine, you get all the small veins, they recombine into bigger veins, they recombine, and ultimately they combine to form what's called the hepatic portal vein. That vein goes into the liver on the inferior side. And if you look at the picture there, you'll see that vein branches down into smaller and smaller blood vessels where they become, where they become capillaries, and it's there where the hepatocytes, the liver cells, act upon that blood and say, oh, there's a poison there, I'm going to detoxify it, I'm going to deal with this, right? And treat the blood before it goes back to the heart. Now, if you look at this picture here that I've given you, you can see the liver. Now you see, go down and see the word hepatic portal vein, or just hepatic portal. Follow it to the vein and then see the arrow. See the arrow going up to it? That's the arrow, meaning blood is going up into the liver. All right? Now if you follow the arrows all the way back down and out, you'll see that they become the superior mesenteric, and then off to the right there's the inferior mesenteric, right? The splenic, the gastric vein. All right, so all of those are combining to become the hepatic portal vein, and then see how they go into the liver, and you can see how they branch down into the second set of capillaries. The first set was in the intestines. All right? So what happens is they branch down into capillaries, the liver cells act upon it, and then they say, okay, we're done. Now, let's recombine those, right, into larger veins. And now look at the top of the liver. See the two arrows there? And you see, if you follow it out of the liver, it says right hepatic and left hepatic. Do you see that? Yeah. Guess what? That's the left hepatic vein and the right hepatic vein. Oh, okay. So the hepatic vein is draining the liver, but the hepatic portal vein is draining the mesenteries and the intestinal organs and sending the blood first to the liver before it is then sent to the heart. So after the liver cells act upon it, they recombine to form the right and left hepatic vein. And then see the big arrow at the very top? What do you think that big arrow is coming from? What's that big vessel called? The inferior vena cava. It's listed somewhere down further. See all the dotted lines? You got to remember it means behind that. But that big one, that's the inferior vena cava. So in your pictures, or in this model here, right? You won't see it here, but underneath the liver here, don't worry about this, but you would see it right there. There it is in purple. Don't worry about it. But in this picture here, portal vein. That's the one thing I wanted to point out. The rest of it, you're on your own. All right? I mean, everything. But again, make sure that you have a study plan. Now, here's the plan. You say, how am I going to do this, right? So you would say, all right, ascending aorta, aortic arch, descending aorta. I'm going to go to the head first, so I stop here. All right, brachiocephalic, left carotid, left subclavian. Right carotid, right subclavian. All right, subclavian, subclavian. Then here's the axillary, then the arm, the brachial, right? You've got the carotids that go up and up into the head. External and internal, don't worry about it. External means it goes out to the outer scalp. Internal means it goes into the brain, right? And so you're going to have a pattern. You're going to go in this direction, and once you learn it this way, right, then you redraw it again and again that way. Don't draw it differently every time. Then you can say, okay, now this is the descending aorta, right? Here is the diaphragm, right? There's the abdominal aorta. First branch is the, and I go off to the side so I can see it. There's the celiac trunk, which becomes the hepatic artery, the gastric artery, and the splenic artery. And this is the celiac trunk, all right? Superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric. And down here is your right and left renal arteries, your right and left gonadal arteries, right? Your right and left iliac artery. So you know what I'm saying? You have a pattern, right? Now, if it's veins, you should come back. Don't draw it outward because you're going against the way the blood's going. So if you're going to come back, maybe get a different color and say, okay, brachial vein, axillary vein, you're going up backwards. Subclavian vein, and then it's going to be different. It's not going to be looking like this. This is the big difference here, all right? The venous pathway, right? The subclavian merges with the jugular coming down and becomes the left brachiocephalic, and then the right brachiocephalic, and then the superior vena cava. So it's different. This is what you need to focus on, because these are the major vessels. And now if I'm going to point, you said pick the top major ones, I'm going to start with these. I'm not going to go down here to the popliteal vein, because everyone knows where that is, right? Or the femoral vein. Duh, everybody knows the femoral vein. Everybody knows the femoral artery. Not that I'm not going to ask it, but if you said only pick the top veins you want to pick, I'm going to pick these. Brachiocephalics, aortic arches, you know, right in here. So make sure that you've learned that difference there, all right? And that's your way of preventing making what you call stupid mistakes. Well, I knew this, Dr. Sigal, when I took the test. I don't know what happened. But what happened was you thought you knew it, you didn't. You only understood it. If you knew it, you would have gotten it right, right? So I'm not chastising anybody, but that's, you know, if you knew it, you'd get it right. Right? So make sure you get it right so you can draw it, you know, and this is not pretty. As long as it works for you. As long as the picture works for you. I don't care how you draw it. As long as it makes sense to you and you can correlate it with the stuff here. All right, so on this guy, this hole here, that's the superior mesenteric. There's the inferior mesenteric. Those are, if we didn't know the sex, gonadals. This was a female, so it's a ovarian. All right, here's the two iliacs, and then that's it for this guy. The carotids are here. There's the jugulars here. This branch would be going out. This would be the external jugular. In other words, all the blood, all the vein that's drained from the scalp and the outer head is coming in here, and then the deep jugular is vein. Okay. The carotids you can't even see. Well, you can start to see it. All right. So that's that there, and then this poster.